Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to go through and talk about how to make a dynamic combat camera. This includes a couple of techniques and tools that you may not have seen before involved in the level sequencer. So let's take a look at how this works and have fun with it. So we've got a situation here where we've got a character and we've got an attack. Okay, a simple montage that plays and the attack follows suit. However, let's make it a bit more exciting by adding some unique camera animations to it to make it really feel more punchy. So the current setup for this is, as we can see, a very simple push a key, play montage. But let's make this a bit more complex. So for this, we're going to create a level sequence which is specifically designed just for our character. Now, the way I like to work is I like to create a new map where I can work in my dev animations outside in a clean environment. So I'm going to create a new map and we'll call it dev anim. And you'll see why in a moment why this is quite a good idea, because once I add the lights in here with the environment light mixer, I need to animate everything around the 000 point. Now, if you've got a very big level and lots of stuff going on, 000 might be awkward to get to or observe cleanly what you're doing. Whereas this big empty void here is fine for what we want to do. So what we need to do here now is bring in our player character. So let's bring in a third person character, the blueprint itself, not the mannequin or anything like that. And we're going to make sure it's set to 000. Now, the reason why you do it at 000 is because we're going to make the animation, the sequence animation, be relative to a position. In other words, 000. So here we are with our character set up. So now I'm going to go and create a level sequence. So go up top here, create level sequence, and we'll do attack sequence, or whatever you want to call your one. And hit save. So what we've got to do here is we've got to add our character here to our track. So with it selected, right click in the track and do act as a sequence, add BP third person character, or whatever your character's name is. Now add that into there. Now when you first add in your character, it's going to create the control rig for it. We don't need to use control rig. We've got an animation ready, so I'm going to delete the control rig. And the main thing is that we need to have is our animation set up to be a root motion animation. So I already had that set up because it was in the montage already done. So once you've got that in there, you can just go onto your character mesh here, add animation, and you just search for the animation you want to use. My one is attack 06. And there's the animation. Okay. So the way this works is that when we bring this animation in, as I said, we've got to make it relative to the player character, but also swap in the player character with this one that's in the timeline. And we do that by binding tags. So I'm just going to close this timeline down a bit here. And we're going to go and add a tag to our player character in the track here. So the way you do this is right click on the track and go to tags at the bottom and open binding tag manager. And you find your object, right click on it, and give it whatever tag you want to give it. Player. Okay, and you'll see the player tag now appears on here too. And it goes to like say that you can also add multiple tags to multiple things as much as you like. Okay, so there's our animation setup done. And we don't have to do anything else. We can leave it like that for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my third person map. Save everything here. Here we are. So how do you actually call this and make it relative? Well, you go into your third person character and we're going to take that off of our play montage. We're not going to use that anymore. And instead we are going to create a level sequence. And put that in there. I'm going to choose our sequence here, attack sequence. Okay, first thing we need to do is take it to override its instance data. So we're taking this level sequence and saying, nope, we're going to do our own thing. So our actor here, we're going to type in override and do set override instance data to true. We then want to take from the out actor here and get the default instance data. And then from that, we need to cast specifically to our level sequence default. There you go, default level sequence instance data. A bit of a mouthful, but that's what you need to cast it to. Default level sequence instance data. Okay. So there's the good data. We now from here can set the transform origin to where we want it to go. So I'm going to do set transform origin. You can choose actor or origin. I prefer using just the transform itself personally. But we go there. And the transform is going to be my player character's transform. So now it's going to repurpose 000 as my player's location. So any animation around 000 is now going to treat my player as 000. Next, I need to swap out the bindings. So we're going to take from our default instance data again and do binding. Oh, no, not sorry, this one. It is this one, out actor. Take from there and we'll do binding and do set binding by tag. And in here, you're going to type in the name of player. And in the actors, we're going to do make array and put in self. Okay. And once you've done all that, next job is actually play the thing. So in the return value here at the bottom, we're going to drag out and do play to play the track. Okay. So let's run through this again. And when we push the 1 key, we're going to create a level sequence player. We're then telling it we're going to override its data. And we're going to get that data and just cast it to the default data. We're not using anything special. And we're going to override the transform origin to my actor's transform instead. And then from our out actor, my sequence player, I'm going to set the binding by tag and set player to my player character. And finally play it. So let's take a look at how that looks in game. So now if I push the 1 key, there's my attack. Now, at the moment, I'm using something to help the player move around and jump in the air. So I've got a jumping attack animation like this. I kind of done a little thing on the animation there to make it work with a montage, but we are going to make it work without the montage. So let me go back to the animation. And combat. And it was this one. Yeah, so I made this little thing for the montage, but we're not going to use that. Basically, all it did was it turned the character into a flying mode. This you need to have done because otherwise the character doesn't leave the floor. Okay, gravity takes over. But what we're going to do is we're going to make the animation sequence itself control that. So I'm going to go back to my map. As it's kind of nice to keep all the animation stuff related to the animation on the actual animation sequence. And we'll go open up the attack sequence. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to change the movement mode of our character's character movement. So go to third person character in the track, add on here, and you're going to choose your character movement component. That one. And then with our playhead at the start here, I'm just going to go to character movement component, add a track. I'm going to add an event track for trigger. And I'm going to add a keyframe for our event here. I'm going to right click on the pin and go to properties and go to where it says endpoint, change it to quick bind, and you're going to search for mode and you'll see set movement mode. Click on that. And we can now pass that through. And this is the actor sequence director. So this is the level sequence director. And it'll pass it through and change the movement mode. So I'm going to save that and go back to my thing here. Okay. And as you can see over here, we're going to pass over a payload. And the payload is what movement mode you want to use on this key. So I'm going to change this to flying. I'm then going to go to the end here. Add another key, properties, endpoint, quick bind, and have I already got it in the sequence? Can I access it from here? No, we have to do it from here again. Mode. Oh, mode. There you go. Now do it again. Close that. And this one, we're going to change the payload back to walking. So back to walking. So now it's going to turn it to flying, and then while it's animating, it'll then go back to walking. So let's go back to my level and test that out. There we go. I go in the air, I'm root motioned, perfect. But at the moment, it's doing exactly the same job as what our montage was doing. It's just a lot more long-winded. So the benefit of doing it on a sequencer is we can animate the camera to do things. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go back to my dev anim. And we're going to open up my sequence. And in here, we're going to add a camera. So I'm going to go to the camera. And there's my camera. Now, the camera, by default, is going to be a cinematic camera actor, which is cool. We've got a load of little settings on it, but let's get rid of these black bars because it's kind of jarring when it cuts from gameplay camera to this one. And the way you do that is just go select the camera actor, and on the right-hand side, in the details panel, if you scroll down, you'll see constrain aspect ratio. Just turn that off. There you go. Okay, so now I want to position the camera to where I want it to go. So I'm going to get up really close to the character. And what I'm going to actually do is process the camera. So I've got the camera selected over here. It says pilot actor. So I'm just going to position it over here. Let's just move this a bit slower. Like there. And we'll add a key for this. Okay. So it's a bit out of focus. Let's fix the focus on that. So the best way of doing that is going to the focal length. Rather than using it here, it's best to use the details panel because in here you've got a thing you can use to help you do this. So go to focus settings and we're going to add a keyframe. Click on our eyedropper tool on the manual focus distance. Click on your character. It puts them into focus. Hit a key. And then that should be all good. Okay. So when you first have your character and camera in here, you can see the camera here is going to be spawnable because it has a little thunder mark on it. That's what that means. But the camera here is just going to cut to it. So what we'll do is going to blend it to this camera position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my camera cuts and tick on can blend. And when you've done that, it gives you these little arrows in the top left and top right that you can allow blending. So I'm just going to drag that arrow in there. And I'm going to drag this arrow on the other side. Ooh. Bit awkward. We'll get there. We'll get there. There we go. There we go. And as you can see, there's like blending graphs here. So it'll blend from the gameplay camera into the cinematic camera here. And then blend out. So with that in place, let's go back to our game mode, our game map that is, and test this out in an actual environment. So now I'm going to push 1. Boom. So I can probably line up a bit better and improve it a little bit. So let's go back here and go to our level sequence. And we're going to cut to there. So I'm going to go to my cine camera actor and just edit the one key I've got in there and just make it seem a bit more seamless. Let's just pilot it. There we go. Like this. That's better. And what you can also do is change aperture too. You can change the focus. You can do all that sort of stuff. So now I've got that in a better position. I'm going to animate it slightly as well. So I'm going to bring that across to there. And bring that down. Because I've got auto key turned on, it's added the key for me down here. But if not, you can just click the add button and you'll add it as a key. So animation goes boom and back out. Okay. Ooh. Actually, yes. And then I'm going to put on last frame. I'm going to put it out to here so it starts moving back a bit sooner and then it will blend out. Okay. So the other benefit you get from doing with sequences is that you can add different effects to it too. So you can add different tracks that do different things like audio, visual effects. But one really cool one you can do is the time dilation. So I'm going to go right click on here and we can do time dilation track. And we're going to get to there, add key. And then we're going to slow that way down to 0.5. And then another key to be the cap end of that 0.5, and then move it back out to 1. So the full, there's this little slow-mo bit at the end there, or in the middle, sorry. So do that again, go back. Okay. So now let's go back to our game map and look at that in action. Okay, and here I go. I need to adjust the camera a little bit, but it's getting there. I think I need to raise it up a little bit because of the root motion lead launching in the air. So just need to update that. But obviously you can animate the camera to do whatever you like. You can be as fancy as you want, as crazy as you want, totally up to you. And we're going to bring that up here. So let me go to the camera actor. And I'm just going to add onto this here. Go to the next one. There. Next one there. Okay. And back to our map. I know, you can do it a lot better than I can. Spend some time on it, you can make it quite nice. But as you can see, I can do it in different directions and it'll be relative to my transform. So do it however you like. There's loads of options you can do. Be as creative as you want with it. There you go. Let's go back and tweak it a little bit more. And I'm just going to adjust the time dilation down a bit to 0.25. Okay, and then go back to the map and let's test that one out. I think the camera needs to move forwards a bit. So that's the hard part with this bit, is because it's got root motion, it's hard to judge where the camera's going to be. So you kind of got to earmark it best you can. So let's go to transform and we'll view the camera. There we go. And we're going to push that forward a little bit there. Actually, no, that one we'll leave there. Next one we'll push forward to there. And then this one go back. And we'll make the last test. Obviously, you could spend as much time as you want on it, make it look as good as you want. Yeah, maybe a little bit higher would have been better. But yeah, the gist of it. So there you have it. You can now create simple, interesting camera changes for your combat scenarios. Now, in the next part, I'm going to do a video on how to improve this slightly and how to make it a bit more optimized and a bit more cleaner to use for many different types of animations as well. So you can catch the next part right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. You can find all my videos early from just $1 a month. Massive thanks to all the patrons and YouTube members for the continued support in the channel. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.